Hi Brian. This particular video is on chapter 10 about lead generation. I'm going to try to keep this reasonably short. There are basically three strategies in acquiring leads. It's acquisition of those leads, identifying, acquiring them, converting them, and then retaining them over time so that we can build our overall customer base. And while this chapter is on lead generation and conversion, why is it important? Well, that's the basis over time, obviously, of generating increased revenues and either at the very least maintaining or growing our business. Why is it important? Because why is lead generation and conversion important? And the answer to that is that to convert, generating a lead is one step. Converting and maintaining a customer over time, converting them to a sale and then maintaining them involves multiple steps over time. And so a business has to understand how they're going to manage that relationship of acquisition, conversion, and ultimately maintenance. It's usually different departments or different people that interface with these various steps in the overall process. If it's a small company, it could be one person or two people that maintain these steps. But the point is, it's generally multiple steps for mid-sized to larger organizations, and so they have to be coordinated, and I would say they have to be operationalized. That is, if you have salespeople that are interested in acquisition. You have marketing people that are interested in acquisition. You have salespeople that are interested in sales, and then it probably may go back to marketing, for example, in a communications function to maintain contact with these people over time. And so when you say it's going to be operationalized, it has to be assigned to different people, and there have to be metrics for performance and evaluation of those various functions by those individuals over time. So what is conversion? Well, it depends on the stage in the customer cycle, but conversion usually is associated with a sale. So it's different than a lead generation. So demand versus lead generation. Demand is about generating an overall market demand for your product, generating awareness. This is often through both social media marketing and traditional marketing channels. And then the lead generation is the actual sales side of that function, and just one step in an overall process of creating demand through information flows, generating a lead, converting that lead into a sale, and then maintaining that relationship in an ongoing sort of fashion after sales. So what are different metrics that you might have? I love the old adage that if you don't have a metric or an objective stated in a quantitative fashion, if you don't have a metric, you can't measure it. So before you ever start one of these programs, from a marketing perspective, I always say that marketing and promotion is done for a lot of different reasons. It's not always about sales per se, although that's often a sought after ends in some form or fashion, but we do promote for other reasons other than just sales. Going back to the beginning of this discussion, Sometimes it's just to inform an overall population about the existence of a product, so it's informational in nature or informative in nature. Later it might be about creating new customers and then actual conversions. Each of those steps would have their own metrics for evaluation. If people aren't aware of it, you're not going to close anything, so that's kind of a first step. Then from those initial contacts, which might be informative in nature, you would generate leads, potential target markets that might have an interest in this product, and then from there you would generate conversions, which are actual sales. So again, it's a process, an ongoing process that starts with informing the market, identifying leads, converting them, and then turning them back into repurchases. There are many different ways to create leads, many different channels within a marketing company. Within a marketing function of a company. Those leads can come from a number of different places. That's what I meant about operationalized. They could be coming from phone calls, from emails, from events. And all these different things are done to create an intended outcome. And so this is a really great diagram, I think, that shows you how an overall marketing function is coordinated. If it's a small company, again, it may be one to a few people that do all these different things. If it's a larger company like the one you're in, the Department of Motor Vehicles, these could actually be individual functions that are operationalized through different departments. As far as which channels to use, that's a determination really that is made, in my opinion, over time, because you would be monitoring all these different functions to determine, in the previous slide, to determine which ones are most effective in generating leads. And just because one isn't you look at them from two different perspectives, let's say emails, and as weighted against events. So maybe events doesn't create, maybe it's just brand awareness, product awareness that you're trying to create, and then emails is more about generating leads or following up with people whose addresses you got through events. And you find out that direct events has a better return. That could be because it's a better venue or avenue, or it could be that whoever runs that particular department does a good job. So you have to look at it from both a management perspective as well as an actual results perspective, or functional perspective. And again, ultimately, over time, you've had time to evaluate these different channels, and then on an ongoing basis, you would adjust budgets on the different channels to, as far as your allocations go. You would allocate monies based on their efficacy or their ROI. And that change in the ROI on that previous slide can occur again from macro events. Somebody invents the internet, and all of a sudden print ads don't get the allocation of advertising dollars that they used to because they're not as effective anymore, or they can change as a consequence of management itself. We have inbound and outbound marketing efforts. Outbound is really like the traditional marketing, and inbound is a function mostly of these new internet marketing opportunities. And from, again, marketing terminology, outbound represents what's traditionally called a push strategy, and inbound is a pull strategy. So push strategies are things that you do to push your product or service into the marketplace, whereas pull strategies are things that are intended to pull customers into contacting you more directly. So that makes sense. That dovetails with things like ebooks and videos and webinars and so on and so forth. The cost of lead generation from inbound is normally cheaper than outbound, which is why there's this transition of reallocation of dollars in overall promotional and marketing budgets to go toward social media marketing and other inbound formats, blogs, so on and so forth. When you get a particular sales lead as a salesperson, you want to qualify that sales lead. That certainly would be something that you would hopefully be able to do quickly on your travel website. First, you assume they have a desire for your product or service, that they have the authority to make that purchase. You know, you're talking to the right person within the company and not just somebody who would like to see it but doesn't really can't impact the decision in any way. They need to have the money budgeted for the purpose and then an actual need for the benefits. And that's a functional need. I mean, that's a functional factor over time. They can, you know, everybody can want a new Rolex watch. They can have the authority to buy it, and they can have the money to make the decision. But if their actual need is keeping times at the races, you know, that may not be the best timepiece to do that. So they have to have over time an actual need for your product if you're going to retain them as a customer, and or if you're going to use them as an avenue to make contacts with new potential customers or existing customers. There is no good definition for a lead or a conversion, but you know, it's different things in different situations for different products. But at the end of the day, a conversion for the most part is generally converting a potential customer or lead into an actual sale. One of the things that's useful in identifying prospective leads is a persona, the use of personas. And if you went to a site called VALS, V-A-L-S, VALS survey, 2 words, VALS survey, and took that survey, and it's a very commonly used tool in marketing and promotion, it's old school way of creating personas. It gives you an idea what a persona is. I believe they have 8 of them, but with the advent of online sales and purchases and social networking, we can construct all kinds of personas and understanding different profiles that buy different kinds of products or services. But take a look at VALS and it'll tell you what a persona, give you an idea what a persona is all about. Another one is a site called Prism, P-R-I-Z-M, Prism, N-E, 2 words, or maybe 1 word, just Prism and then N-E, and it's another tool that's used, a database tool used by marketers that takes data from various areas and constructs data profiles or personas on neighborhoods. And so we want to be able to tell a story. If you can tell the story of how a person goes about making the decision to purchase a particular product, then you can figure out ways strategically to insert yourself into that process. And the internet is a great way to insert yourself into that process. And lastly, this goes back to some comments I made earlier on. It's all about understanding how your customer interacts or interfaces with your product, and you watch over time how the return on investment of different venues and marketing media, email versus events is what I talked about. You want to watch over time on where you get the biggest bang for your buck, refine your messages, refine your target market, refine your budget allocations until you get down to a situation where you believe you're getting the best return on your investment, not just dollars but time as well.